All right, coming back at you with the real. Now, with all that's going on, I want to say that the Bible started racism or records racism. And what I mean by racism is when you have a particular bloodline or family tree that considers themselves divine and the rulers over any other bloodline. That's what basically, that's what it is. So, and what I mean by the Bible teaches this first is you have a God in the Old Testament that has a chosen race. And this chosen race is from Abraham and Sarah. Now, Abraham also had a slave that he gotten from Egypt, or a handmaid, or a servant named Hagar. And she was an African. So I want you to take a look at how this racist ideology has taken a hold from within religion into a more ethical code, which they claim more ethical code, on practice down onto the people, and they don't even realize that this is what they practice. So in Genesis chapter 10, it's going to start off talking about Abraham and his journey. As we know, he went on into Egypt. He lied to Pharaoh about his wife being his sister. And this God punished Pharaoh and blessed Abraham. He leaves with a whole bunch of riches or whatnot. So we can already see that the African was already lied on or lied to, and within that he was punished behind this lie. So now Abraham leaves and he has this black female Hagar. Okay. So now I want to take a look right here in Genesis chapter 16. We're going to take a look at what it says. It says, now Sarah, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarah said unto Abram, behold, now the Lord has restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, thee means you, I pray you go into my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened or listened to the voice of Sarah. Verse 3 says, and Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her handmaid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. Remember, Canaan is the cursed one, that's the African land. And gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived, or she, got pregnant. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress, or Sarah, was despised in her eyes. Now verse 5 says, and Sarah said unto Abram, my wrong be upon you. I have given my maid unto you, unto your bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between me and you. But Abram said unto Sarah, behold, your maid is in your hands. Do to her as you please. Now, it says right here that and Sarah dealt hardly with her, or harshly with her, and she fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way of Shur, and said to her, Hagar, Sarah's maid. Now this angel is speaking to the African woman. Whence came you, or where you come from, and whither will you go, or where you going? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarah. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to your mistress and submit yourself unto her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply your seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And we're going to talk about the purpose of multiplying the seed of Hagar, or the African woman, so you can get a better idea of this racism. So it says, verse 11, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, you art with child, and you shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction. So now this is a conversation that she's having with this God or his angel. And he will be a wild man, and his hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord that spoke unto her, Thou God sees me. For she said, I have also looked after him that sees me. Wherefore the well was called whatever. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name which Hagar bare Ishmael. And Abram was 86 old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. All right, now this is a little mixed baby right here, because Abram and Sarah come from one area, and this bloodline is Abraham. Since he believed Sarah couldn't bear children, she gave, this African woman to him. Now he's mixing up right here. So the child eventually is not accepted as a legitimate child, because the covenant has to come in between Abraham and Sarah for that pure, or that so-called that pure blood. Well, as we can see, we're gonna go down a little, because it's fixing to start talking about Sodom and Gomorrah and all that. We're not gonna get into all that right now, but we're gonna see what takes place after Sarah and his God talks. Verse 21 says, And the Lord visited Sarah, and he had said, and the Lord said unto Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at a set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, who Sarah born to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, and God had commanded him, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when the son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God has made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, Who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck, or breastfeed children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast the same day Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, or the African, which she born unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, Cast out this bondwoman, or slave, and her son. For the son of a bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even Isaac. All right, so that's already saying that this woman shall never co-rank. The son of Abraham and Hagar will never, ever have power. Ever. Cast him out. The ruler is Isaac. And this thing was grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said to Abraham, Let not be grievous in your sight because of the lad. See how this God always talking directly to him? There ain't no middleman in between this. They're not reading this. They're not translating anything. They just straight talking directly to God. He's speaking to him, saying, Let not this grievous in your sight because of the lad, and because of your bondwoman or your slave. And all that Sarah has unto you, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall your seed be called. Also, and also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is your seed. And Abraham rose up early that morning, took bread, a bottle of water, gave it to Hagar, putting her on her shoulder and her child, and sent her away, bam, with some bread and a bottle of water. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs, and she went and sat down over against him a good way off. And it just goes on and on. You can get down into that. But now the African woman and the mixed child is kicked out. The promise goes to Isaac.